I'm Ryan Green.
And I'm Zach Taylor.
And together we are
Commander Social.
And this week it's going to be a tale of two Emrys. We are going to be talking about Emry, Lurker of the Loch, and how Zach built it versus how I built it. So it's going to be a 2-for-1 special on deck techs for Emry, Lurker of the Loch.
Yep. 2 deck techs, 1 enters. Oh, no, 2 enter, 1 leaves.
Indeed. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about this episode. But before we get into all of that, I want to thank you out there in audience land. Thank you so much for participating with us. We really appreciate your support. And it means the world to us just listening week in and week out, telling a friend, all that good stuff. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to hit the like button,
the subscribe button,
and the bell for ring-a-ding notifications. So, all right. We also got to talk about our Patreon.
Patreon, yeah. It's patreon.com/commandersocial. And we just want to say thanks to all of our patrons. We definitely couldn't be doing this without you. And we really, really appreciate the support that you give. So, Ryan, who's our patron of the week?
Our patron of the week is Lee. And that's how he wants to be known. No social media necessary. Lee. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Lee.
You listen week in and week out.
Lee.
I have a friend named Lee.
Is that song? Or are those just words?
No, Lee's the best. And
yeah, for real.
He helps out with all kinds of things. And we just really appreciate your support.
Yep.
And
he's a great friend. He helped us come up with the spreadsheet for the rotisserie.
Yeah, and participated in the mock rotisserie.
The mock one, yep.
Oh, yeah.
And he plays League with us. So thanks, Lee.
Yeah.
So this month is time to, or rather, it's time to announce the patron contest for this month.
Oh, and November is the month of Brawl. Oh my goodness, yeah. We're going to be brawling all the time in November.
Every Wednesday, except for those that we don't, we will be streaming Brawl. So, we'll tweet about it. But our patron contest is also Brawl oriented. It's one of the Brawl decks that recently came out. Any one of your choice.
Yeah, and you know what? There are some sweet cards in those Brawl precons, right? Like Arcane Signet.
All of them have it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, these decks
Command Tower.
Yeah, great. Well, and they all have a shock land.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
Those decks are packed full of value, and actually the lead singers of those decks are really sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, there's a lot of value to be had there, and we've got only a few patrons, so your chances of getting one of those are great if you sign
pretty
in
high.
And join our Patreon. So definitely do that. But we've also got something else going on.
Yeah, we got to announce something other Brawl related. Do you want me to tell them, or do you want to tell them? I think you should tell them.
Okay, all right. So in November, by the time this episode comes out, there's just a few days left to become a patron. We are doing a patron-only Brawl tournament on MTG Arena, and it's going to be, dare I say it?
Say it.
Hashtag Hello Dope Lit Fam. Yeah, seriously. It's going to be so much fun. And we've been playing a lot of Brawl in Arena, and it's fantastic.
It's great.
And the winner of our Brawl tournament is going to get another Brawl Precon deck.
So, Ryan, are you telling me that we're giving away 2 Brawl Precon decks this month?
To our patrons. We absolutely are. That is fantastic, right? Like,
yeah,
there's so much good value in those. And
it is.
We played Brawl at the MTG Eldraine Brawl weekend.
Yep, we did.
Right? And that was really fun.
Yeah, it was cool to get those card styles. Honestly, like, Brawl Online is just scratch that itch with me. Like, I know you're listening, Gavin. Can we please queue Brawl every day?
I'm not sure he's in charge of Arena, but maybe he could put in a good word for us.
Put in a good word for us, bro. But yeah, it's so much fun, and like it's just what I want to be doing online when I play Magic now.
Indeed. Okay.
So, and I'm also excited to play with the patrons. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh, that is gonna be really fun.
Like maybe I could win a game, possibly. I don't know. Ryan usually just beats me mercilessly.
Hey, every once in a while I get land screwed.
It's true. It's true. That did happen. I did win that game. Are we gonna do 2 out of 3, or are we gonna just do 1? Games of 1.
You know what? We haven't figured that out yet.
We don't know.
All that needs to happen is for you out there in audience land to become patron so you can join in the tournament, have your chance at winning one of those Brawl decks, and have fun playing in a tournament with us and our other patrons.
Us and some other people.
All right, but we don't want to leave our Twitter followers out in the dark.
Don't.
So if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Green Geek.
I'm at Z4CK38.
And together we are at Commander Social. And we are running a Twitter contest for the month of November as well. and you're going to win a sweet, well, you're not guaranteed to win, but you have a chance to win a sweet Kenrith the Returned King foil buy a box promo.
Yeah.
And that card is sweet and really awesome commander as well.
Cool. Yeah, like I really like seeing the decks that have been built around it, just with the 5 colors and just all the stuff. The deck seemed like a lot of fun.
All right, so we've got one more thing that we want to talk about here, and that is Movember. So you may notice that both Zach and I, our upper lips are completely bare currently, but that's going to change this month. So for all these episodes that we're recording,
so you'll see the progression. Ryan's status is currently quo. My status is currently not quo. Eventually, the tables will turn.
Yes, but we're gonna grow some stashes to promote men's health and charity. So there's a link in the show notes for you to find out how to donate to us. And also, we encourage folks out there that are watching this or listening to this, join our team.
Yeah,
right. Like you don't have to just donate and give us money for charity.
Yeah,
you can be a part of the team. Get on there and grow a stash for charity. Also, we're doing a thing this month that's a little bit different. It's like Move Ember, right? So it's not just getting the mustache. It's also walking 60 miles in the month of November.
Yep.
And currently we've been tweeting about it a bunch when you're seeing this or hearing this. And
it's because we went on a 2-mile walk earlier tonight.
We did. Prior to filming this and recording this, we went on a walk together, and we're using it in a very benevolent fashion. We're using it to plan stuff for the show. So hopefully the show gets better as a part of it too.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe our health will get better too. Who knows?
Indeed. Okay, so that's Movember. So Zach, what's been going on in your life, man?
Not much, man. Just kind of doing the normal thing. I will say, so streaming has required a third monitor, and I had a third monitor, but it didn't have.
Porque no los tres.
I had a third monitor, but it didn't have a stand. So I bought a desk mount stand. So some of y'all, I know Adam saw it on Twitter. I got the third monitor that's just like angled down at me. So I'm just like,
it feels like you're in a cockpit of a mech or something.
Yeah, that's how it feels, dude. It's real weird. Like when I'm not editing, what I've been doing is like I'll put like Netflix up here, and then I'll be like working on stuff, and I'm like, and it just, I don't know, it feels weird, but it's pretty cool. Like Brando Calabresian helped me install it. I definitely was like under my desk with a drill trying to like figure this out.
Oh, that sounds scary.
Yeah. Well, originally it was a saw that I was looking for. You remember I texted you and asked if you had a saw?
I was like, I got a circular saw. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for.
So what's been going on with you, man?
All right. Well, it's time for your hashtag MTG Dad moment. And this episode is being recorded on November 2nd. You guys are going to see it a lot later. But recently
10 days later,
took Veronica and Malcolm out trick-or-treating. And that was a lot of fun.
Yep.
It was really cool to see Malcolm like kind of go into his own and like say trick-or-treat. Now, it was very... trick-or-treat. It's very different, but he would go up to the door, and he definitely was not going to wear that dinosaur hat.
I was wearing.
Yeah, Zach took care of that.
I'm sure you saw it on social media.
But yeah, Zach dressed as a dinosaur, and it was great. And so did my son. A dinosaur with no.
Yeah, we both had
piece.
half the card. He was like a little boy wearing a dinosaur costume, and I was an adult man with a pea coat and a dinosaur beanie.
Indeed. And so we also took my daughter out trick-or-treating. She was dressed as Batgirl.
Yep.
That's what happens when you're a nerd and you have kids. They just kind of like osmose that nerdness like a sponge. And that is definitely happening with my kids. And so one of the things that's really cool is, and actually we have a clip to put in here. So I'm just going to kind of take a break here for a second so you guys can listen to the clip.
This is for you. Hi. I like your mouse decoration. You like it? Oh, thank you. That is real sad.
So that was a clip of my daughter trick-or-treating and being very polite and telling folks that she liked their decorations. And in fact, actually at one house, I didn't get this one on video, but at one house, she told the lady inside that she really liked the decorations. And she was like, you get extra candy.
Yeah.
And Zach, you were there. You were helping me trick-or-treat with the kids. And it was
funny.
Hilarious. What a great experience. Like,
yeah, it really was. And it was so cute how like she would see other people's costumes and be like, oh, I like your costume. I like your costume. And it's like she really meant it. She was telling these kids that she liked it. And they're like, oh, the kids were like, thanks. And it's cool to see her grow up and like be doing these kinds of like just real nice things.
And I will say, I think this is probably the most excited I've seen my daughter in her entire life. She was just like bubbling over with energy. She was like, I want to go to the next house, and that one doesn't have a light, so we have to skip it. And it was crazy.
Yeah, we had to explain to her which houses she could and couldn't go to. And then she was like, we'd be like, okay, you can run to the next one. And she just would take off. Because I don't think she's ever really been let loose like that, right? I mean, we were right behind her.
Well, it's something special for the kids too, right? Because like they're getting to be outside and walking around like after dark, and you know, and they're wearing a costume, and there's lots of other people wearing costumes. It's a very special time.
Yeah, like it's really cool trick or treating around here because like just seeing all the other families out and stuff. Like it wasn't like that for me growing up. I lived in the country.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. So that is your hashtag MTG Dad moment for this week, and we're going to move on to something we do every episode, and that is thanking one Mr. Mike Condon. Thank you, sir.
Gentleman and a scholar.
And a scholar and a gentleman. And this week we want to thank you for all of your audio prowess, as well as the peanut butter parfaits. Thanks, Mike.
They were definitely great after that 2-mile walk.
Okay, so that's going to move us right on into a section we like to call
Commander Rules.
All right, so in Commander Rules, we like to take a deep dive into the comprehensive rules of Magic the Gathering. And Zach, I'm going to tell you about it, and you're going to let us know how to hit you, okay?
Yep.
All right, so this week's rule is about permanence, and this is a question I get asked a lot. I've taught a lot of new players how to play Magic, and they're always like, what's a permanent, right? And it's pretty simple. Too. It's like something that comes into play, but here's the rule that references it, and we're going to do two of them.
Okay.
The first one is 110.1, which says a permanent is a card or token on the battlefield. A permanent remains on the battlefield indefinitely. A card or token becomes a permanent as it enters the battlefield, and it stops being a permanent as it's moved to another zone by an effect or rule.
Okay.
So what do you think about that?
Seems right.
Yeah, so stuff in your graveyard, not permanent.
Not permanent.
Even if it's a creature or an artifact or whatever, it's not a permanent while it's in your graveyard, only while it's in play.
And not in your hand either.
Correct. Not while it's on the stack even.
Yep.
Only when it's in play.
In play.
Okay, so the next rule is 101.5, and this is the interesting one. It says, a permanent's status is its physical state. There are 4 status categories, each of which has 2 possible values. Tapped or untapped, flipped or unflipped, face up, face down, and phased in and phased out. Each permanent always has one of these values for each of these categories.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
The flipped or unflipped and face down or face up.
Yep.
I don't know what the difference is there, but the other ones, I think the one that's going to confuse people is phasing because nothing has phasing anymore.
Right. Well, but phased in and phased out. Yeah.
Yeah. Because everything's just phased in.
So flipped or unflipped is the, there was these Kamigawa block cards that had like a thing on the top and a thing on the bottom. Like Nezumi Grave Robber is the one I'm thinking of.
Okay. Yeah. I know. I think of what's the green one?
Budoka Gardener?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So flipped versus like face up, face down.
Exactly.
Okay. I think that's been a thing before that I've asked about.
But you know what's interesting is that they always have it all the time.
Yeah.
So like you can look at a card and go, oh, it's tapped and it's not flipped and it is face up.
Yep.
And it is
phased in.
Phased in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It makes me think a lot about like the programming behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought it was a good one. And audience out there, let us know what you thought of this week's Commander Rules. But you know, I get asked what a permanent is a lot of times. And
I do too.
That's what this is. So that's going to move us right on into the main topic, the stuff you've all been waiting for, and that is A Tale of Two Emrys. And of course, we are talking about Emry, Lurker of the Loch. And Zach, I'm going to have you read it out for the folks at home.
Emry, Lurker of the Loch is 2 and a blue for a legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard. She is a 1/2 that says, this spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. When Emry, Lurker of the Loch enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. Tap, choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. It's pretty sweet.
So Emry is one of our new legendaries from Eldraine. And obviously a throwback to the Lady of the Lake. but a really sweet card. And, Zach, you've been wanting to make an artifact deck for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've made other artifact decks, but I've wanted to make a more fair one. I think I've done it here.
Have you now?
Listeners, check out my list. Tell me what you think.
And actually, the list will be here in the show notes.
Yep. They'll be in the YouTube description as well.
Indeed. And I wanted to point out that there's also going to be a budget list of my version of the deck where I swap out a lot of the cards that are pretty expensive because I think this deck can be built on a budget pretty successfully. There's not anything that you really specifically need, but there are a lot of really high value cards that make the deck like super fun. But, we want to like know that the folks out there in audience land have a budget alternative. So.
Yeah. Because sometimes you don't want to put a bunch of money into a deck like this, right? Like maybe it's just going to be like an ancillary deck that you have that's just kind of fun.
Well, and also maybe you're just starting out and you're like, I really like artifacts because they're permanents.
Yep.
Okay. So I think we should give a shout out to all the folks that helped us. So the audience at home should know that when Zach and I were brewing these decks, we reached out to some of our patrons and some of our friends, and we got some help building these decks. So we want to give a shout out to Joe Hoffman,
Max Crandell,
and Brando Calrissian,
my roommate.
Indeed.
I'm also his life coach. If you need a life coach, hit me up at Z4CK38.
Indeed. Should I buy more Magic cards? Yes.
So yeah, definitely thanks to those people for helping out with the show. So Ryan, what would you say the motivation / plan for your deck is?
All right. Okay. So I was like, how do I build? This actually was a conversation I had with Joe Hoffman. Like, how do I build Emry like fun, but not like too busted? Right. And so I decided to do my deck Construct Tribal, right? Which is
interesting.
Robots in the Loch. Constructs wage a war to destroy the evil forces of the Zacticon Constructors.
What is going on here?
Yeah, I made robots, man.
Yeah, man, you definitely had more of a theme to yours than I did. My theme was simply to draw all of the cards and take all of the turns, Brian Green style.
What?
No, I didn't put expropriate in my deck.
But you wish you did.
I did. That card's $50.
Okay, so Zach, let's start with talking about like our deck theory, like slot theory, right?
Yep.
So we're gonna kind of go over the slots that we had in mind when we were making the decks, and we overlapped in about 6 categories, and then we each had like 4 categories where we didn't overlap.
That's what I'm seeing.
So do you want to do like the overlaps first, and then go to the ones where we differed?
Yeah, let's do the overlaps.
Okay. So we had removal, right? Because every commander deck wants that.
Gotta have removal.
And then we had ramp and card draw, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want to draw all the cards.
And then we had what we call commander synergy, or cards that synergize well with our commanders.
Yeah.
And as well as the flex spot, which is just anything goes. It's
the command zone of the deck.
Yeah, it's your potpourri if you're a Jeopardy fan, as well as lands, because what commander deck doesn't include lands?
Can't have lands. So as far as the slots that I had that Ryan didn't have, I had counter spells because Ryan doesn't believe in counter magic, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
It just didn't lend itself to this particular deck. I mean, counter spells are great. And if you're in mono blue, you should probably have a couple. And actually, my deck probably could use a couple.
And I guess the other thing is, like, when I added counter spells to my deck because I definitely have some 2-card combos.
No!
But, you know, so I wanted to protect those. Then I have a thing that I have win cons that are just I feel like I have to like spell out exactly what my win cons are to myself, because otherwise I'm like, how does this deck win?
Do you know what my win con is?
I don't know. What is it?
Smashing face with giant robots.
Should have known. We'll get you, Gadget. We'll get you. Then I had combo.
Next time, Gadget. Next time. I'm petting a cat.
Yeah.
For the listeners at home.
There's a cat. Yeah. That was a pretty good impression. I thought I was getting scared there for a second. Then I have the combo. You know, it's a 6-piece combo.
Combo number 6.
And then I have a slot called Mower Turns.
Mow problems for your opponents.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Ryan? What were the ones that you had that didn't overlap?
Well, clearly I had to have a slot for constructs, right? And actually I should go ahead and say that construct is actually like a super type for artifact creatures, and it just means they're robots, right? One of the great examples is Torrential Gearhulk. You know what? I'm going to read it for the folks at home.
Torrential Gearhulk.
It's 4 blue, for an artifact creature construct. And it says Flash. It's a 5/6, and when Torrential Gearhulk enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant spell from your graveyard without paying its casting cost.
It's pretty good.
I love Torrential Gearhulk. It's been one of my favorites since it released, and it has the super type construct. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this, right? Let's get these robots into play. And I'm not running a ton of instants, and we'll actually get to that later when we do the deck breakdown. But, you know, getting to reuse an instant is great. And even a 5/6 flash for 6 mana is totally fine too. And if it dies, you can recur it with Emry. Like, there's a lot to love there for this giant robot.
So I noticed someone who's not necessarily a robot in your deck that would be in your deck, but I'm surprised there's not a Snapcaster Mage.
I mean, I do love Snapcaster Mage, but with only 8 instants in the deck, it's probably not a great place for it. I mean, I could put it in there, but it probably belongs in a different deck. So what else do I have? All right, another slot theory in Ryan's version of the Emry Lurker of the Loch deck is self-mill, right? So your commander self-mills, right? Emry mills you for 4 when it comes into play to give you fuel for her ability.
Right.
But I thought, you know what? Let's kind of go deep on that. And I added 5 self-mill cards. Primarily among them is Mesmeric Orb, which is a 2-mana artifact that says, whenever you untap a permanent, you know, take the top card of your library and put it into your graveyard. I really wanted to just get a lot of stuff in my graveyard to have a lot of options.
Yeah, that seems pretty cool.
Let's see. So what else? I got Recursion. So Emry also recurs, right? But whenever I'm building a commander deck, I like to put a little bit of extra sauce in there, a little backup plan, right? A little redundancy, as it were. And I wanted to have some cards to recur these artifacts in case my commander gets too expensive. Although with Emry's cost reduction ability, it is pretty easy to like not have to pay that commander tax, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I just really wanted the deck to have like that synergy, so I put some recursion in there as well. And then this is probably wrapped into your removal. Like you actually do removal all as one category.
I usually do board wipes. I just didn't feel like the cards that I had that are board wipes in blue, like Psych Rift, I didn't really think that was a board wipe, but Ryan told me it was, so I gotta fix mine. Yeah,
so I have board wipes as my 4th category that we didn't overlap in, and I have 4 of them in the deck. So that's kind of like how our decks break down categorically. But let's go ahead and like talk about the actual card types in the decks, right? So my deck has 42 artifacts in it, and that is a lot.
It is. Mine started out with 39, but I trimmed it down to 27.
Why? Why did you do that?
I don't know. I blame Max. How many creatures you got?
I have 30 creatures in the deck, 15 of which are constructs. Go, robots, go.
I have 11 creatures, 3 of which are Eldrazi.
Oh, you're a bad person and you should feel bad.
They don't have Annihilator.
Okay, all right. That's fair. Okay, so as I previously mentioned earlier, I have 8 instants in my deck.
I have 15. I like my instants.
I do like instants as well. We're both pretty light in the enchantment category. I've got 4.
I've got 6.
And sorceries, I've got 3.
I have 9.
That's a lot of sorceries. What are you doing with those?
Stuff and things.
Stuff and things.
Treasure Cruise is 1.
Oh, actually, you know, that's pretty decent. Like you can mill a bunch of stuff to the yard and then get that card draw going. So to find your extra turn spells, I guess.
Sure. Spells that I want or need.
More turns.
More turns.
And then
actually, that's where the sorceries are. Time Wipes 1.
Time Wipe? You mean Time Warp?
Time Warp.
Yep.
Yeah, Time Warp is 1.
Let's do the Time
Temporal
Warp
Trespass
again.
is 1. Temporal Trespass, I think, is cool with the Delve.
Okay.
And then,
I can see that.
What else is what's the other one? Oh, Nexus of Fate's a sorcery too.
Indeed. No, Nexus of Fate is an instant, isn't it?
Let's go with the tape.
Yes, Nexus of Fate is an instant. It costs 5 blue, and it says, take an extra turn after this one. If Nexus of Fate would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, reveal Nexus of Fate and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. The old 7 mana comes in foil instant.
Yep. And then let's see, what's the last? 37 lands. Oh, did you have any planeswalkers in your deck?
You know what? I thought about it. There's some really spicy Tezzerets that would go well in here.
Yeah.
Also, I think one of the ones that's included in your deck, Ugin the Ineffable, is pretty sweet because that reduces the cost of colorless cards. It just didn't make the cut for me.
Okay. Legit. And we both had 37 lands. So if we look at our average CMCs, Ryan, what was yours?
I'm coming in at a svelte 3.06 average converted mana cost.
I'm coming in at 4.13, which is way
Whoa, that's huge.
Yeah, that's way higher than I expected.
It's all those Eldrazi's getting in there messing up your CMC average.
It's the Eldrazi's and then like the planar bridge and all that.
Oh, snap, planar bridge.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, and maybe like a little Darksteel Forge.
Yeah.
Oh, man, all the artifact go-tos.
Gladys is like 7-2, isn't it?
I think 6.
6, okay. I'll allow it.
Okay, so clearly Zach and I have brewed very different decks.
Very different.
And we did these like blind, right? We didn't consult each other.
Nope.
Actually, we did consult some community members, but there was no
I mean, after this, I'm definitely gonna ask Ryan to help me fix mine.
Well, there's something that I need to fix, but we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But okay, so what is our overlap? We overlapped in 12 cards.
Yep.
Which out of 100 cards is not very many. I mean, obviously we didn't count Basic Island, right?
Right.
So it's like 12 cards out of like...
Actually, I didn't do Basic Island. I did Basic Snow Island.
Oh, Mr. Fancy Pants. Doing the snow covered.
I had them. I got black and blue, and that was the deal me and Brando made, so I have them.
Oh, snap. Okay, well, I mean, obviously it's good. And you know what? If you're going to put an extra plane of lens in there, which I think you might... that's a good one to put on there. So we did overlap in some lands, though, right? We've got Academy Ruins. Do you want to read that out?
Academy Ruins. I can read Academy Ruins. It is a land that taps. It comes in untapped, I think.
Indeed, it does.
Academy Ruins.
It taps for colorless mana.
Yep, it's a legendary land. Taps for 1 colorless and then 1 blue. Tap, put target artifact card from your graveyard on top of your library. Recursion out of the graveyard.
Yeah, and we overlapped in that because that is an awesome card to include in this.
That's
because
a great card.
Sometimes you want to recur stuff and you don't have access to your commander, and it's also just really good.
It's great.
Okay, so another one here that we overlapped on is Castle Vantress, and Emry's got to be swimming somewhere, and the Loch I think surrounds the castle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
let's go with that.
That seems good.
So Castle Vantress is a land, and it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island. We're in mono blue, so that's going to be pretty easy to control an island. And it taps to add a blue mana, so basically strictly better than an island if you already have an island.
Yep.
And then you can spend 2 blue, tap Castle Vantress, and scry 2.
I do like scrying.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I have a lot of low-cost artifacts in my deck, and so I may not have a lot to do with my mana on a lot of turns, so the Castle Vantress can help me, like, dig to, like, find that next giant robot that I need to, like, summon to, like, smash my foes into oblivion. So, yeah, I think the castle's a great addition.
Yep.
What's next on our overlapping lands?
Darksteel Citadel. It's an artifact land. Indestructible, tap, add 1 colorless.
Yeah, and the fact that it's an artifact land is really imperative to Emry, right? It's going to, like, help reduce the cost of her.
Yep.
And for free, basically, you lay a land and it's like, okay, cool, I've got this artifact land and it's counting as an artifact. And I think she can even let you play it from the graveyard. Or does she say cast?
I don't know.
Oh, cast, yeah. Cast. So you can't recur the lands. But the other artifact land in here is Seat of the Synod, and this should be no surprise to our audience at home. It's the blue artifact land. It comes into play untapped, and it just taps to add blue to your mana pool, and it's also an artifact. So going to be in there to reduce the cost of Emry. What else are we overlapping on?
Last one is land, anyways, in Vinter's Fair. That just disappeared off my thing. Oh, here we go. It's a legendary land. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life, like that. Tap, add a colorless. Cool. 4, tap, sacrifice an Inventor's Fair. Search your library for an artifact card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts.
I mean, we're probably going to be controlling quite a few artifacts in this deck.
The plan.
So why don't you take this first one that we overlap in that's not a land?
Obviously, it's Cyclonic Rift. Why would we not play that in a mono blue deck? It's 1 and a blue for an instant that says return target permanent to owner's hand. Or you can pay 6 and a blue and return all permanents, non-land permanents, owner's control.
Your opponent's control.
Your opponent's control to their hand.
Likewise, we also overlapped in the M20 All-Star Flood of Tears, which is 4 blue for a sorcery. Return all 9-land permanents to their owner's hands. If you return 4 or more non-token permanents this way, you may put a permanent from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is kind of a budget alternative. It's, you want to play a bunch of things that are like board wipes, and in mono blue, your options are pretty small. And this one's really good because you're probably going to have a whole bunch of like little tiny artifacts hanging around.
Yep.
And it's going to do the same thing that Cyclonic Rift does in a more fair way. So definitely something to include. I don't really have like a lot of things to drop off of it, although I can imagine a scenario in your deck where you Flood of Tears and return a whole bunch of stuff and then like ramp out like Darksteel Forge.
Yeah.
Or some giant Eldrazi. Right. So like it's really like especially good in your deck, I think.
I think so too. Are you running TH's Rebuke?
I am not.
You should. I'm running that.
I should be.
The next card we overlapped in was Mindstone.
You got to think about that one.
Yeah, you got to think about it. Use my head. So Mindstone is a 2-cost artifact that's you can tap to add a colorless mana to your pool, or you pay 1 tap, sacrifice, draw a card. I've always liked Mindstone as a 2-drop mana rock because of that extra draw that it can possibly be. Like I think it's good.
Well, and in this deck, it's especially potent because
you can bring it back.
Yeah, with Emry, like if you just need to draw cards, sacrifice a Mindstone, draw cards, bring it back. Pretty sweet. So we also overlap in a sweet removal spell called Duplicant. This is a 6-mana artifact creature that's a shapeshifter. That's a thing. Imprint. When Duplicant enters the battlefield, you may exile target non-token creature. As long as a card exiled with Duplicant is a creature card, Duplicant has the power, toughness, and creature types of the creature card exiled this way. It's still a shapeshifter, and its base stats are 2/4. So the thing that's really cool about Duplicant in this deck is you can play it, and then if you have some sack outlets, which I have quite a few, I think you're running some too.
Actually, I think I took mine out.
Ooh, mistakes were made.
So the thing was, it was like, I originally had like Ashnod's Altar, and I had KCI in, and I was like, well, what am I going to sack to those? And I was like, I'm not making a bunch of Thopters or Mirrors or anything. Like, I don't know. I probably should have left Efficient Construction in.
So, I mean, my plan is like I'll sack Duplicant for some benefit, like to Clark Clan Ironworks, right?
Yeah.
Get some extra mana and then tap Emry and use that 2 mana from Clark Clan Ironworks plus 4 more to bring Duplicant back. Yeah. That sounds like something I want to be doing with Magic cards.
That sounds legit.
Okay, so what else did we overlap in?
An enchantment called Mirrodin Besieged. It's 2 and a blue for an enchantment. As Mirrodin Besieged enters the battlefield, choose Mirran or Phyrexian. If you choose Mirran, it says, whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 colorless mirror artifact token. I guess I do have a token generator. My bad.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. I was looking at the other part, Phyrexian. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then discard a card. If there are 15 or more artifact cards in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game.
Okay. Yeah. So we overlap in this one, and it's a doozy.
It is.
Right. Actually, both modes are sweet.
Yeah. Your self-mill is going to be great with that.
Well, and also, here's the thing, right? Like, I kind of want to cast it in Phyrexian mode anyways, because I want to like draw a card and then ditch an artifact and then tap Emry to play the artifact. Right? So just like value over value over value. And we all know that I like to spend my holidays in Value Town.
Yeah.
So
it's where we vacation every year.
I think it's a great card in this deck. And I don't know. Maybe I was inspired by Dana Roach to run this. So
does he run it in something?
Well, he told us that story about how he like took out 3 consecutive people with the Phyrexian mode of it.
That's right. That's right.
So the next card we overlap in is a stable piece of blue removal. If you're playing a mono blue deck, you're probably running this. It's Reality Shift. It's 1 and a blue. It's an instant. Exile target creature. Its controller manifests the top card of his or her library.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm surprised we didn't overlap in a little more in those areas, to be honest. And the last card that we overlapped in is another staple, and it's also a robot. Maybe perhaps the saddest of robots. Not a construct. That's Solemn Simulacrum.
Yep.
It's a 4-mana artifact. It's a 2/2. And when it comes into play, you search your library for a basic land card. In our case, it's going to be Island, the best basic land. Put it into play tapped.
The only basic land.
And then shuffle your library. And when Solemn Simulacrum dies, draw a card.
Yeah, so you sack it to your, oh my gosh, you sack it to your KCI or your Ashnod's Altar.
Yep.
And then you, oh man.
That's what I want to do. I just want to cast Solemn Simulacrum every turn.
That's great.
And with KCI or Ashnod's Altar, I didn't include Altar in my list. I probably should.
What's your sack outlet then?
I have Krark Clan Ironworks. I have Arcbound Ravager. I have.
Oh, okay.
What else do I have? I have a bunch of them. I'll get to them later.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like the thing I want to be doing. I just want to like sack it, draw that card, recur it, mana ramp crazy in mono blue. Like, isn't that the dream?
Yeah, I agree. Isn't there one other card that we overlapped in?
Was there?
I think so. We should have that. That one drop artifact.
You mean the symbol of our format? The Soul Ring?
Yep.
The old 1 mana artifact that taps add 2 mana?
Yeah, didn't we overlap there?
We should have. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I forgot it. It's not on my list. I'm going to change it. By the time this episode airs and you go click the link, it'll probably be in there. But for some reason, it's not. That's why we do this, folks.
Yeah.
This is how we help each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
My deck will get better. So yeah, I definitely missed that one, and I'll catch it on the rebound.
In the content creator business, we call that pulling a Zack.
Okay, so that is it for all of the overlap. It's actually less than I expected.
Yeah, me too. I thought we'd have a lot more.
My deck is running like a whole bunch of 1 and 0 mana cost artifacts. So
I'm running a bunch of Eldrazi.
Yeah. So basically, my plan was like, well, if I run a whole bunch of like 0 and 1 mana artifacts, I can cast Emry like maybe on turn 1 if I get lucky.
Yeah.
Right. So like an artifact land and you tap it
Soul Ring
for blue, and then you also have like a 0 mana artifact, and then Emry comes out, and all is well in the world. Right. So I've actually got 13 0 and 1 mana artifacts, and there's a special card that really helps with this. And it's called Artificer's Intuition. It's one of the 4 enchantments I'm running, and I'm going to read it for the folks at home. It's 1 and a blue for an enchantment. You can spend a blue mana, discard an artifact card from your hand, search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost 1 or less, reveal that card, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. This is basically the blue version of Survival of the Fittest, but it can only get 1 and 0 mana artifacts.
Okay.
But I'm running 13 1 and 0 mana cost artifacts. So basically, this card is going to be insane in the deck because you could just like ditch any card that you want to recur with Emry. Go get like Lotus Petal or Soul Ring once I include it, or maybe Skull Clamp, which is also not on my list.
Clamp.
But Expedition Map would be a great go get.
Yeah.
Fetch. Mishra's Bauble, Ursa's Bauble. I have a ton of 1 and 0 mana cost artifacts in this deck, and Artificer's Intuition is going to let me like put a whole bunch of fuel in my graveyard for Emry and then get a bunch of ramp. And so like even if they end up killing Emry, she's going to cost 1 mana again. Like I just think Artificer's Intuition is insane in this deck, and I'm really excited to play it.
Yeah, that card's ridiculous. Like, man, I wish I knew about that. I'd known about that card. I may have to change my deck a little bit too.
All right. So do we want to like go back and forth, or should I just like keep going on mine?
Let's go back and forth, keep it interesting.
Okay.
Something that I included in my deck was Soul Ring. It's just like the card of our format. It's the card of a generation of Magic players.
You're really not going to let that go, are you?
No, never going to let that go.
Oh man, I stepped in it. I did.
I mean, it's a great card. So back to you, Ryan.
All right. So what is a construct deck without some giant robots, right? I'm running a bunch of them. Arcbound Ravager starts off pretty small, but it gets big in a hurry. This is a 2 mana artifact creature. It is sacrificing. It's a 2 mana 0/0. It has modular 1, so it enters the battlefield with 1+1/+1 counter on it, and you can sacrifice an artifact. So there's another sack outlet, right? And put a +1/+1 counter on an Arcbound Ravager. So I can imagine a scenario. Oh, and when it dies, you get to move all the +1/+1 counters to some other artifact creature. Yeah. And I'm running a bunch of artifact creatures. So it's kind of like that classic like affinity style thing that if you're a fan of like Modern or Legacy. Yeah,
like Brando Calrissian. This is like one of his favorite cards. Is this price right?
Yeah, it's a pretty pricey card.
Well, no, like that's down from what I've seen it at.
Yeah, so at the time of recording this, it's roughly $20, and it was a pricey card, and I don't know.
They were like $34 or $40 for a while.
It's a good card, and it was
is.
like a king of standard when it was available, and it's still played in Legacy.
Yeah.
And I just
It's
wanted
still played
another
modern.
I wanted another sack outlet.
Yeah,
I really
no,
did.
that's pretty good.
And this card can become a giant robot. Now, it's not actually a construct. It actually I guess feeds on constructs or whatever.
It's a beast.
It is a beast. This card is a beast.
Beast mode.
But yeah, I think Arcbound Ravager is sweet.
It is.
So what are some of the other giant robots in the deck? Okay, let's see here. We've got Mer Battlesphere. This card is sweet.
Love that card.
It's a 7 mana artifact creature. Let's find it in the list here. And it's a 4/7, and it's an artifact creature Mer construct. So this is a construct. This is one of the robots du jour. And when Mer Battlesphere enters the battlefield, create 4 1/1 colorless Mer artifact creature tokens. And when Mer Battlesphere attacks, you may tap X, untap Mer you control. If you do so, Mer Battlesphere gets +X+O until end of turn and deals X damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. This card is a beast. It's been included. Well, it's not actually a beast. It's a construct.
Yeah.
Mer Battlesphere is a construct.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But it's been
I feel like you. Wait. Did you completely make this deck to make fun of me
I wish I had.
for saying construct all the time? Time was a construct. Time was a construct. That would have been the best joke ever.
I really wish I had. But yeah, Mer Battlesphere is like a staple of the Commander pre-con decks, and every time I've played with it, it's totally pulled its own weight.
Yeah.
And its ability really plays way better than you think it would. And it's a construct. So, and I have some cards that interact with constructs in this deck as well.
I was going to put it in my deck, but the CMC was a little too high.
Says the man with the higher average converted mana cost.
It's true. Would you want me to read your next card?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. It's Triskelion, which was the name of my computer for a while. It's a 6-cost artifact creature.
It's also a construct.
Triskelion enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Triskelion. Triskelion deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Seems like a great place to send your Arcbound Ravager tokens when you sack it to your Ashnod's Altar or KCI.
Oh, yeah, that's a fun thing you can do. The other thing you could do is you can remove a counter, ping something, remove a counter, ping something, remove a counter, ping itself. It goes to the graveyard, tap Emry, recur it.
Yeah.
That's a thing you could do in this deck, right? I think it's pretty cool. So the next construct I want to talk about is Metalwork Colossus. And this is a big boy. Metalwork Colossus is 11 mana for a 10/10.
How is your... I guess it's all those zeros.
Yeah, a lot of the zeros average it out to be pretty low. But here's the other deal. So Metalwork Colossus costs X less to cast, where X is the total converted mana cost of non-creature artifacts you control. So it can get down pretty cheap, especially if you've got some of some of the mana rocks and whatnot in there. And then you can sacrifice 2 artifacts. So this is another sack outlet for the deck. And return Metalwork Colossus from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a sack outlet. It's a big giant beater. It's a game ender. And it's a construct. Giant robots. Let's go punch stuff.
Yeah. Kaiju and whatnot.
So what are some of the other robots we should talk about?
Let's see. We got Traxios, Scourge of Krug, 4 for a legendary artifact creature construct. Trample for it's a 7/7. Traxios enters the battlefield tapped and does not untap on your untap step. Whenever you cast a historic spell, untap Traxios. Artifacts are historic.
Yep. So anytime you cast something from your graveyard with Emry, just untap Traxos. It's basically a 4 mana 7/7 trample in this deck.
Seems good. Seems legit.
All right. So another construct that folks out there might be familiar with is Dosa Forge Master.
I actually don't know that one. What does that do?
So this is a 5 mana 3/5 artifact creature construct. Tap and sacrifice 3 artifacts. Search your library for an artifact card and put it onto the battlefield. Then shuffle your library. So this card interacts sweet with our commander, right? It's a sack outlet, and it puts a whole bunch of stuff into the graveyard for Emry to recur, and it tutors up like some big giant robot, right? Like,
I can get down with that.
It's everything I want to do.
Yeah. It's amazing. So any other big robots? I think that's all. Well, Torrential Gilhulk, but we know about Torrential Gilhulk.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yep.
So what else you got going on?
So in mono colored decks, I've learned that I like mana doublers.
I do like doubling my mana.
Right? Like, I do like having as much mana as possible. So I'm running some of my new favorite cards, Caged Sun, which is a 6-cost artifact. raising that CMC. As Cage Shot enters the battlefield, choose a color. Creatures you control the chosen color get +1/+1. Whenever a land's ability adds one or more mana of chosen color to your mana pool, add 1 mana of that color to your mana pool. So it only gets me. Well,
Yep.
the creature. Oh, it's on. Yeah. I just like this card. I think it's legit. The other one that I'm running is Extraplanar Lens, which is pretty good. It's a 3-cost artifact that says imprint. When Extraplanar Lens comes into play, you may remove target land you control from the game. Whenever a land of the same name as the imprinted card is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana to his or her mana pool of the type that land produced. I think both those are sweet. This deck is, I built it in a way that it was mostly cards I had. So, I didn't have an extra gauntlet of power or might.
Well, yeah, I mean, that will happen. Although, Gauntlet of Might is red only, I think. But,
whatever.
Yeah, okay. So the next, I honestly, mana doubling is great. I didn't include any of it in this deck. I probably should have, especially because it's a monocolored deck. So I think, folks at home, maybe, use both of these decks to kind of come to an inspiration. Although we are going to run a Twitter poll the week this comes out, and we want you to vote for which deck you like better. This is head to head. It's a tale of two Emrys. Do you like your boy Zack's
Z2
combo style deck, or are you down with the robots? Right? We want to know.
Yeah. So I mean, are you going to choose humanity or robots? Who do you want to be your overlord? It's kind of. I think I'd like to be free from the robot rule.
I mean, but robots are so logical, right? Like that's all right.
Yeah.
And they help make your cars and like deliver your packages and drive your cars.
Every movie I've ever seen where the robots like win by getting sentient, they're so logical that they're like, must kill humans. Like it happens every time, dude.
And what do you want to do to your opponents when you're playing with robots? Take them out. That's why.
And then what do they also do in these movies? They turn on their human overlords.
Yeah, but that's why you get put kill switches in. It's totally fine. All right, okay.
Is it?
So the next card I want to talk about in my deck that's got some pretty sweet interactions is Paradoxical Outcome. And I think this card is doing some work in Modern right now. This is 3 and a blue for an instant, and it says return any number of target non-land, non-token permanents you control to their owner's hand. Draw a card for each card returned to your hand this way.
Oh man, with 0-cost artifacts, that's just like gas.
Yeah, basically every 0-cost and 1-cost card, you're gonna be able to like pick them all up, draw a whole bunch of cards, drop all those again, and then play even more of the ones that you drew. And man, I wish Tolarian Academy was not banned in our format because that would be so dope with this card.
And I wish Storm of the Vaults was blue only.
And the other thing is, like, if you had an Aetherflux Reservoir, which was like this close to making my list, I
thought about it too.
It basically, it's a 4-mana artifact, and every time you play a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've played this turn. And so if you can like do Paradoxical Outcome, return it, and play like a whole bunch of spells, you're going to be gain 1, gain 2, gain 3, gain 4,
and
gain
then
5.
What is it? Drop 50 life and kill someone?
Well, yeah, and then deal 50 damage to any target. So,
yeah,
it would be a win condition. So it's something to think about if you're going to build this deck. But I just like it for the drawing a whole bunch of cards.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So
what's next in your cool things, man?
Mirrodin Besieged. Like, I don't know. Ever since I saw that card in Modern Horizons, I was just like the art kind of spoke to me, and kind of the whole like Mirrodin versus Phyrexian thing going on kind of intrigued me. And I like these 2-mode cards because either one could be good at any given time. So it just kind of depends on what you're doing. But I think I don't know. I just think it's cool. I think the flavor's cool. I think the art's cool. I think what it does is cool, and it's just a card I wanted to play with, and I was like, feels right here.
Yeah, I think it is a great one, and honestly, we talked about it a little bit earlier, and I think it's one of the cards we overlapped on for a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the next category that's cool about the robot deck, which you should totally vote for in that Twitter poll, is Codex Shredder. This is a 1-mana artifact. Tap. Target player puts the top card of his or her library from into his or her graveyard. Most of the time when you're playing this deck, you're going to use that on yourself to get more fuel for Emry.
Yeah.
And then you can spend 5, sacrifice Codex Shredder, return target card from your graveyard to your hand, right? So if they blow up your Mirrodin Besieged, you can use Codex Shredder to get it back. and then you can use Emry to recast a Codex Shredder. So it's like self-mill and recursion all in one, and it's a one-mana artifact to help you play that Emry super early.
I mean, I know that it was like teased in the beginning of the episode that my deck was possibly more degenerate than Ryan's, but I feel like that's starting to not be true.
I mean, this deck is going to play pretty sweet. It's good.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like every turn's going to be like a puzzle, but we're going to get to that a little bit later. So what else we got in the whole self-mill? We already talked about Mesmeric Orb. There's a pretty sweet one here. And I thought of this card because of the Commander's Brew guys.
Oh, yeah?
They've used it in a bunch of their brews, and I've never played with it, and I really want to. It's called Perpetual Timepiece. This is a 2-mana artifact. Tap, put the top 2 cards of your graveyard into your from your library into your graveyard. Mill yourself for 2. And then you can also spend 2, exile Perpetual Timepiece, shuffle any number of target cards from your graveyard into your library.
Like, that card's sweet. I've played it with Muldrotha.
It's pretty good, right?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and it just like, honestly, just like tap it, mill it for 2. Did I find anything cool to cast with Emry?
Yeah.
Sweet, right? And then towards the end of the game, if some of your key pieces have gotten milled, go ahead and get a Perpetual Timepiece out of there, shuffle everything back in, and get to town. Like, I don't know. I think it's really good in this deck. I really want to be milling myself, and that is on the list. And let's see. So what else did I have in the self-mill category? Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. What's your next category, Zach?
Icecrown Scepter and 2-drop instants.
Boo!
Also known as 2-card combos.
Combo.
So let me read Icecrown Scepter here for you real quick. It is a 2-drop artifact that says imprint. When Icecrown Scepter comes into play, you may remove an instant card with converted mana cost 2 or less in your hand from the game. 2, tap. You may copy an imprinted instant with this card and play the copy without paying its mana cost. There are some sweet options. The best option is Dramatic Reversal, which is a 1 in a blue for an instant. Untap all non-land permanents you control. Seems pretty good. So
Seems really good.
If you got a bunch of mana rocks. We also have Reset. All your lands on tap. Reset can only be played on an opponent's turn after his or her upkeep phase. So that kind of also requires you to have Leyline of Anticipation or Vidalcan Warrior in play, which basically say everything you do has flash.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. And then a card that I always want to play, but never like get the chance to really utilize, High Tide.
Oh, snap. Oh man, putting that on Icecrown Scepter seems so good.
Yeah. I mean, even if I just put a High Tide on Icecrown Scepter, that's pretty sweet. Until your turn or end of turn, all islands produce an additional 1 blue when tapped for mana.
And that counts snow-covered islands, right?
Yeah,
it sure does.
It's pretty good. Like there's some other cool stuff I could do. You know, there's Swan Song, which is counter target enchantment, instant or sorcery spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 bird creature token with flying for 1 mana. There's and also I think Narset's Reversal would be kind of cool on it.
Oh, that sounds well. Okay, so what'll happen then is people just won't play spells.
Yeah,
which is pretty good too.
Yep. Copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. Seems sweet. So yeah, that's Icecrown Scepter and all the cool stuff it can do.
Okay, so up next on my list, like one of the cool things this deck does is it plays Ursa, Lord High Artificer.
Got there.
I have one and I've wanted to put it into a deck, but honestly, at the helm of a deck, it might be too good, and I haven't been willing to play it, but I'm going to read it out for folks at home. Ursa, Lord High Artificer is 2 blue for a 1/4 legendary creature, Human Artificer. When Ursa, Lord High Artificer comes into the battlefield, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So construct tribal had to include Ursa.
Yeah.
Easy cut if you're going the budget route. And then tap an untapped artifact you control, add blue mana to your mana pool. Yes, please. Yeah. I have a lot of 0 and 1 mana artifacts. Please, yes, that's going to be amazing. And then 5 mana, shuffle your library, then exile the top card of it. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Honestly, not that useful in this deck. I don't really have any way to generate infinite mana. Right. So it's really just be like, okay, do you?
Yeah.
With Dramatic Reversal?
Maybe.
Yeah. We just talked about it. But you know, if you've got mana lying around, go ahead and do it. But really it's all about like getting that construct that's going to be big because my deck has 47 artifacts in it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are real cheap and easy to cast. And then also being able to tap all of your little 0 and 1 manas to like play out a really big spell,
Right.
or, recur Triskelion. I think the sky's the limit there. And I think Urza is really cool. And I'm happy that I finally have a place to put it.
So like, let me ask you this, like, and this is a legitimate question. Do you think that Emry is going to put a target on your back the same way Ursa would?
I think it could.
I think there's like, I don't think it's been out long enough to really know, but I think there's a pretty big possibility.
I think there's too, but I'm hoping to like shore some of that up by saying, hey guys, I'm playing Construct Tribal. We're doing robots here. We're gonna do Rock'em Sock'em. We're gonna bash in with giant robots. So I'm gonna
say the same thing.
One of us will be telling the truth.
I'll put a construct in my deck. I think I have some constructs in there. Maybe we'll figure it out.
So what's next on your cool stuff that your deck does?
I just like the fact that I'm playing basically 3 Cyclonic Rifts, kind of. I'm playing Cyclonic Rift. We all know what that does. I'm also playing Flood of Tears, which... Did you read that earlier, Ryan? Flood of Tears?
Yes, we did.
So all that's left is a card we like to call TH's Rebuke, but it's
River's Rebuke.
River's Rebuke. And I'm going to find where to read it.
It's 4 blue for a sorcery. And it says, return all permanents target player controls to their owner's hand. I think I got there.
Yep, you sure did. Got there.
Ding, 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 ding. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Yeah, this card's great.
Yeah, it's super good. I like it. So, yeah, it's kind of like, Board Wipe Tribal in blue, sort of ish. Return to your hand, Tribal.
Yeah, it's a great card. It's super fantastic.
Yeah, I just like having 3 copies of that kind of effect.
I just like making my opponents cry so I can taste their salty, salty tears.
It's not even that. It's just I like extending games. I like playing Magic so much.
Oh, you're the worst. You're the worst. Okay.
If someone's about to win, I'm just going to be like Cyclonic Rift.
Zach said no.
No winners.
Read his shirt. It says nope. I'm just saying.
We're all losers in this game. We're all losers.
All right. So the next thing that I'm going to talk about in my deck is this is a card that works with constructs. It's pretty cool. It's called Scrapyard Recombiner. It's a 3 mana artifact creature construct. It's a 0/0 with modular 2, and we talked about modular earlier. Tap and sacrifice an artifact. Search your library for a construct card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So Scrapyard Recombiner is going to sacrifice an artifact for Emry to replay. Go get Metalwork Colossus. Go get Metalworker. Go get Traxos. Go get Steel Overseer. Go get Milliken, which is a 2 mana 0/1 artifact creature construct. Tap, put the top card of your library into your graveyard, add a colorless mana to your mana pool.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what does that card do?
Yeah, it mills you for 1, giving Emry more fuel and adds to your mana count. And you can go find it with Scrapyard Recombiner. I think it's really cool. There's so much awesome stuff. Another really cool construct in here is Walking Atlas, which is a weird one. Let's see here. It's a 2 mana 1/1 artifact creature construct. Tap, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So mono blue has a hard time ramping. This is a construct that can help you do it, especially if you're drawing a bunch of cards. You're going to have a bunch of lands in your hand. Why not use the Walking Atlas to replay them? I don't know. I think the construct thing with the Scrapyard Recombiner is really cool. And it's kind of like the idea that was like the spark for this deck that made me go, okay, I want to build this. I want to put it down on paper and I want to share it with our audience at home.
I just want to do gross stuff.
Okay. So what's next on your cool list?
Chasm Skulker. I've been looking for a home for this card since it came out. I don't know what the set was. I want to say it's like M15 or something like that. Maybe Origins. I don't remember. But Chasm Skulker is
it's Chasm
Skulker, whatever.
it's Chad the Chasm Skulker.
Don't correct me on the podcast, man. People are gonna think I'm dumb. No, I think they already know. So Chasm Skulker is 2 and a blue for a creature squid horror.
Ooh, that's horrifying.
Yeah, maybe I should make a squid horror tribal. Wait, I think the only other horror that I can think of is Thing in the Ice.
Thing in the Ice, yeah.
Thing in the Ice wouldn't.
There's actually lots of horrors, but
okay. So whenever you draw a card, put a +1. It's Chasm Skulker. Chasm Skulker is a 1/1. Whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on Chasm Skulker. When Chasm Skulker dies, create X 1/1 blue squid creature tokens with Island Walk, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Chasm Skulker. I just think that's a neat effect.
Well, in a deck that's going to draw as many cards as your deck is, that's going to be great.
I think that's great. I think, again, this is one of the reasons I wish I had left Psych Outlets in here, because you sack that. I mean, it's a big creature, right? But like maybe you use it to block something crazy coming at you and it dies. You get a bunch of squid creatures. Or if
and they have Island Walk. I mean, like if we go head to head, that's going to be a troublesome card.
It's true. And it makes me kind of want to play Spreading Seas. I think it's 1 in a blue for an enchantment that turns a land into an island.
And does it draw a card?
Maybe. I don't know. But it makes it an island. And you know what those guys...
But here's the deal. You're going to be playing a game of Commander. There's going to be islands. There's going to be islands. It's just going to be...
Yeah, I mean, at least 3 of the 4 decks are probably going to be island. Like, let's be real. So what's next in yours?
All right, so I talked about doing a lot of recursion in this deck, and I've got a bit. I've got Junk Diver, but there was a card I wanted to highlight that I think is specifically good in my version of the deck, and it's called Salvaging Station. And this was a 4-card cycle. There was like Grinding Station, Blasting Station, Salvaging Station, and
all the stations.
Summoning Station. I think I got there. I think I got all 4. But I'm only running Salvaging Station. It's a 6-mana artifact. Tap, return target non-creature artifact card with a converted mana cost 1 or less from your graveyard to play. So that's going to work well with the 13 that I've got in there. And then whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, you may untap Salvaging Station. So there are ways to go infinite with this and like 0 mana cost creatures and stuff, but this is more of just like value in this deck.
Yeah.
So like you sacrifice Lotus Petal to play something on your turn, and then the board gets wiped and you're like, okay, play all of my stuff back, right? Or play all of my 0 and 1s back, or, somebody blocks something and dies. You're like, okay, cool. I'll bring back Urza's Bauble, right? Or I'll bring back Mishra's Bauble. Like, I think there's a lot of stuff in this deck where Salvaging Station is really going to be really, really good. I think it's going to play a lot better than it reads. I've never played with it before, and I'm kind of excited to. 6 mana is a lot, but it does
not in my deck.
But it does kind of add some redundancy to the thing that I'm trying to do with the robots and the little tiny 0 and 1 mana artifacts.
So the next thing that I'm super stoked about, this card, like I bought one, like, so Mothership.
Shout out Mothership.
They have a box where there's like pre-release foils that they have for whatever reason that people traded in, and Mystic Forge was one. And I was like, I could probably do something with this, and I got it. But like Mystic Forge just seems sweet. It's a 4-drop artifact that says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. I definitely like having that extra information and basically an extra card in my hand, because it says you may cast top card of your library if it's an artifact card or a colorless non-land card. So an Eldrazi.
Yeah, I mean, this card is dope and it does dope things.
Right.
And it's going to do dope things in your deck, I think.
And I can tap it, pay 1 life, exile top card of my library. Probably not going to be doing that too often.
But you know what? If you want to get to some more artifacts.
Yeah, I could see it. Like if it's something I just don't need or something.
Honestly, this card would be really good in either version of the deck. Like it could definitely make it was on my list of cards to put in here. It was just so hard making cuts for this deck.
It was.
Like there were I started off and I had like 150 non-land cards.
Yeah, you told me that you have 150 cards. I was like, oh, that's not bad. I don't have lands, bro. What?
There are so many cards I wanted to include in this deck. It was so hard.
You know what card I would exile if it came up on top?
What's that?
Soul Ring.
Out of my deck, you wouldn't.
Got there.
All right. So the next cool thing that my deck does is it synergizes with Emry's ability to tap and cast an artifact. So in here, I've got a land called Minimo School at Water's Edge. This is a legendary land, and it just taps to add blue to your mana pool. Comes into play untapped.
Yeah.
You can also spend a blue and tap and untap target legendary permanent. So you can use it to untap Emry and get double duty out of her. And I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, that's really good. I wish I had thought of that one.
Honestly, in the budget version of this deck, it's not going to be there. It's like around 25 bucks. It's a pretty pricey card. I already have one. I don't think I would invest in getting one for this deck, but I think it's that good. I think, and it's an island plus, right? Like there's pretty much no drawback to it.
Yeah.
Like, if it's the only land in your opening hand, you still get a blue mana.
For sure.
I think the card's really good. But the card that I'm really excited to run in here is one of my 4 enchantment, and it's called Freed from the Real. This is 2 and a blue for an enchantment aura. It says enchant creature, blue, tap enchanted creature, blue, untap enchanted creature. So in a pinch, you can use this to like lock down like a Blightsteel Colossus or something crazy that's threatening you from your opponent's side. Just like every turn you spend blue to tap it down.
Or you can do Emry twice.
Yeah, well, not just twice. It's blue : untap.
Oh.
So for like, if you put this on Emry, it's like blue, cast Lotus Petal, tap Emry, blue, untap Emry, cast Soul Ring. Once I add it to the deck, blue, untap Emry, cast another 1-drop.
Gross.
Like crazy things are going to happen with Freed from the Real, and I'm excited. I think it's going to be really good in here.
I mean, listeners, if you want to see an amalgamation of these two decks, check back with me in a couple of days.
Zach's like, wait, this card's awesome. I'm totally adding it to my deck.
Oh, I know. It's so good.
All right.
So that's pretty much our decks. I want to say in a nutshell, but we kind of went, deep on it. So
a walnut shell then.
Yeah.
A big nut.
Yeah. A larger of the nuts. So, which deck do you think would be the most fun to play or play against? My deck where I'm, I got some combos, but I don't have any like fetch for those combos or anything like that. But just doing fun stuff, returning stuff to people's hands, making a lot of mana,
making the game go longer,
draw a lot of cards. You want to do that, or do you want to do what Brian's doing?
You want to play with the robots?
Did you literally just robot with your arm there?
I did.
Wow.
I mean, so here's the deal. Like, this is not your typical Emry deck.
It's not.
I tried to not put infinite combos in there. There was a really awesome card in there called Mirror and Spy. It's like 2 and a blue for a 1/3, and like whenever you cast an artifact, you get to untap a creature. And I was like, oh, this goes infinite with Lotus Petal. I think I got the card right. I'm close. And I was like, what? It's a cheap card. Like, you could easily put it in the budget version. But I was like, I'm specifically not putting that in there. I don't want infinite mana. I don't want infinite combos. I just want the deck to play differently. And also, I just think that like each turn the deck is going to feel like a puzzle, right? I'm going to be like, okay, there are so many different things I can do, and I can tap this and sack it and draw a card. And what if I draw? And like, okay, I can paradoxical outcome and bring all these back and Freed from the Real and just kind of go off in like a really crazy way. But like none of it's going to be infinite. And at the end of the day, the deck is going to win with, big giant robots punching people in the face. And I think that's my sales pitch for the deck. I think that's what's going to be fun. You're going to like, bring back, Reality Shift with Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah.
Like there's so many fun, like interesting combos in this deck. And I really think like the artifact sack outlets are going to bring like a whole different piece to it. Like, I think the deck is like chock full of synergy. I don't know. And like, after talking about it, like, I built it digitally. I'm pretty sure I'm going to build a paper version of this. Like, this seems really fun. And hopefully the people I sit down with will believe me when I tell them it's about giant robots.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things it's about. So, if you've gotten this far on the video, thanks for watching so much. We really appreciate it. Week in, week out, we know you guys are with us, and it means the world to us.
Special thanks to our super patrons. You can check us out at patreon.com/commandersocial and join at the Your Name in Lights tier if you want to be here as well.
So, on the videos, remember to
hit that like button,
hit that subscribe button,
and the bell for ring-a-ding notifications.
Yep. And if you want to get with us on Twitter, together we're at Commander Social. Individually, I'm at Z4CK38.
And individually, I'm at Green Geek. And please don't forget to go vote in the poll for this episode and let us know which deck you liked the best.
Yep, we'll put the link to the tweet in the notes below. So until next week, this is Zach and Ryan saying,
keep it social.